I want to go back to my point about how you're set. Your crew are affected by your values. And so when you rise up, chances are either you get kicked out of your crew, and that it can happen sometimes, or the crew will rise to the occasion to meet you where you're going. And now you have, either way, you're going to find a different kind of world. So for those of you who are like cycling and you're like, man, this got to get better, it gets better when you get better. And then again, the crew changes or they rise. Well, either way, the crew is going to change. Either they separate or they rise. But it's because you set the tone. And so it doesn't, you don't have to be president in order to do that. It's just you doing your thing on a day-to-day basis. And that becomes key. Because I think one of the things I used to really hammer is that when I used to hear people talk about visionaries, they would either talk about a politician or a minister. And I'd say, oh, and that would not include you. That means you're not part of the mix. No, I'm just a working Joe. Well, the working Joe or Jane really are the visionaries. We're the people that set the tone, and then the other people build their visions based around the foundation that we set. So I think what we tend to do is discount ourselves from vision. I'm a big advocate about vision parties, getting together and letting people talk about their greatest possible vision of themselves. Because when was the last time you remember somebody come up to you and say, yo, man, what's your vision? What's your 5-year vision? It doesn't happen because we've lowered the bar to our conversations, where we don't make room to talk about who we are in a visionary way. So we don't. So I think there's a scripture in the Bible that says, without vision, the people perish. So we're looking around and we're seeing people perish. And it could be because we don't have a big enough vision for ourselves, which causes our crew not to have a big enough vision for themselves, which causes our community not to have a big enough vision for itself, which causes our society to have just the lowest possible vision of itself. And then we face a potential collapse simply because of the fact that we don't have a big enough vision. And people would say, well, Chet, does that mean we have to all agree upon a vision? I'll say this. The most important thing is that we have to at least get to the point of making room in our lives for vision so that we can build some foundation on that. If we don't even have the conversation, think about it. If we're not even having the conversation about something bigger than ourselves, where we're able to serve, as you were mentioning earlier, serving others or providing value to others, then we're already toast. Because now you're talking about just some dystopian movie where everybody's just out for themselves. You're just talking about a warlike, barbarian environment where it's every man for himself. And I do mean every man for himself, because they ain't talking about women. It's all this toxic masculinity being rewarded through separation, segregation. It's madness. And that's the future that it's possibly that we could face if we don't rise to the occasion. Like I said, I'm calling out particularly those who are watching this and saying, I want to get out there and I want to champion for something greater, something better. But there's not a lot of support out there. Well, that's probably true. However, your vision is so important that you can't wait for that support. You're going to have to just go out there and put it out there, and then you will find your tribe when you put it out there. But if you're keeping it to yourself and you're quiet with yours at a time when we really need you to step up and become your greatest self, we're going to hold you responsible for that. You have to own that greatest aspect of you as well as the worst aspect of you. You got to own it all, but give that other part, that great part, some room too. We squash that down because we're influenced by the low level, the low vibration that seems to be running around. And we just don't give room to the higher vibration of connectedness, empowerment, vision, new thoughts, new ideas, possibilities, opportunities. We just tend to talk about, what we ain't got and what's not happening. as opposed to what can I do to contribute to make something happen. So I know it's for some people it sounds like a mind thing, but it's not. It really is about a soul thing, really. Who are you in the end? And so my job really as a futurist is really to create that environment so that people will do that level of work and then step into theirs. Because otherwise we just don't talk about it. And I have a theory about that. And let me just say this real quick. And I'll say that this is in direct relationship to the African American community.